Well, hello. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday, guys. Welcome to our fourth day of our Rush Week here at the Refresh Institute. Super excited, super grateful to be with you guys on this Saturday afternoon. Yes, I wanted to interrupt your Saturday a little bit. We're still working. We're still enrolling. We're still talking with scholars. We're still gathering and empowering those and really giving people direction as to what's happening and what's going on here at the Refresh Institute. And so I hope that you are ready to learn more. We talked about this a little bit throughout the week, but today is the day where we give our focus and our attention to our entire Worship Arts Academy. So I hope that you are ready to learn more. And if you haven't done so already, you know what to do. Like and share this live with your networks, your family, your friends, your fields, all of the above. We just want to say hello and happy Saturday to those of you in Facebook land. Those of you, hey Brandy, those of you in YouTube land, those of you just all over. We're just super excited. And a lot of people that weren't able to catch us on our live this week, but today, hopefully you get a chance to hop on in and be a part of the conversation, the chit chat about the Refresh Institute. It's been a phenomenal rush week. Phenomenal rush week. We have been enrolling students from all over the world. And let me tell you, we're just so grateful to be able to share in this journey to grow with you. So I hope you guys are ready to dive in, because today we're talking about our Worship Arts Academy. We've been diving into creative arts all week, but today we get an opportunity to chit chat about the Worship Arts Academy with our instructors that'll be taking over this first year of the courses. We're building out the other programs and stuff like that, but it's already in the works. So I want to give you insight about what's coming up with the Refresh Worship Arts Academy and all of the above. So here's the deal. One of our instructors couldn't come today, but we do have one instructor that is here today, and they've been collaborating. They've been building out. They've been working together. They've been pulling things together just so that you can be impacted during this time and that you can grow tremendously. And like I shared with you guys before, the course curriculum for the worship arts has been built out, and the Lord has allowed us to be able to birth some phenomenal things for you that will truly change your life. So if you haven't done so already, share this live. But not only that, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know where you're catching this live from. In the middle of this Saturday, yes, we're in the middle of this Saturday, and we wanted to stop because we wanted to share with you more. And for those of you that are catching the replay, we want to tell you also welcome to our institute. So Brenda, you can find more information on our website at www.refreshglobalnfp.org. Actually, if you look at the comments that are above, you will be able to check out the email. Hey, Tanyelle, good to see you. Tanyelle is enrolled into our Refresh Institute, and so we're super grateful to have her as a part of our institute as well, y'all. We're endeavoring to grow, to be empowered, and most importantly, to be refreshed. Hey, Ann, all the way from Washington, D.C. Those of you that are on here, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let's talk, let's chat. Hey, Chantel, good to see you. Oh, I got to talk to you. I got to talk to you. I got to reach out to you. So you'll be getting something from me, Chantel, coming up really soon. I'll do it today. I'm not going to forget. I was supposed to do this like about 2 months ago, and I forgot. I'm so sorry. But anyway, guys, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know what you're interested in. Let's talk about it. Thank you so much, Brandy. Yep, you can find out more information about our Refresh Institute and all of the courses from the Creative Arts Academy side, which we talked about all week long, to the Worship Arts Academy side on our website at www.refreshglobalnfp.org. Hi, Joanne from Michigan. Hi, Lauren from Philly. Good to see see you. Thank you guys so much for logging on this Saturday. I hope you're relaxing. I hope you're enjoying this day. I know sometimes, it's a mixture about what Saturdays are about, either rest or run. It's one or the other. There's no in between. It's either rest or run. So we're super grateful for that. But let me dive right in so we can let you go on your Saturday. But I'm super excited. I'm super excited about the hey bro. Hey Pastor Terrell, good to see you. I'm super excited about the Refresh Institute as a whole. As I've told you guys before, all throughout Rush Week, since 2016, we've been gathering together to empower those in their specific nature, creativity, gifts, all of the above. We have been cultivating creatives since 2016 in the areas of not only their gifts, but also in the areas of their anointings, their grace, their mantles, and the things that they walk into. And so we've been doing this for quite some time, but now what we're doing is we have built out our certification program. And for you going through the Institute, you're going to get some in-depth study, not only on the side of your creativity and the thing that makes you different and sets you apart from the rest, but you also get to learn on the biblical side too. And that's what we get to talk about today. It's just our Worship Arts Academy. Now, here's the deal. Hey, Natasha, thank you for joining us today. Blessings to you. So here's the deal. Like I said, all week long, we've been talking about the creative arts, and we've all, and everything that we do, because we're a faith-based nonprofit organization, everything that we do is centered around our God-given purpose and our God-given destiny. And our endeavor throughout the Refresh Institute is to empower that thing that God has destined for you and for your life. We want to give you language for why you're different, why you're set apart from the rest. We want to give you language for how God is going to use your talents and your gifts to really save a world. And if, many of us say that we're surrendered, but a lot of us, we fail to give God our gifts and our talents. We use it for our own refreshing. We use it for our own kind of wind down and things of that nature. But God is really challenging us to submit our gifts, our talents, and all of the above to Him. And I've been talking about it all this week. David had a structure in his nation, a structure in the temple. And for every worshiper that was a part of it, they could not just be anointed, they had to be skilled. And so part of skilling is learning to be a disciple of the Lord, a student of God, a student of the things of God, and continuously growing in God. That's what church is all about. That's what gathering together is all about. That's what everybody coming together is all about. Hey, Christopher, good to see you. That's what, excuse me. That's what all of these things is all about. But there are a lot of people that say they're hungry and they are not willing to do what it takes to fulfill that level of hunger with being a student of the Lord, with being a disciple of the Lord. And I think for worshipers, it's really, really important to be a disciple of God. So part of our expansion and the resurgence of the Refresh Institute is the creative arts, of course, the dual arts academy. So the creative arts side and the worship arts academy, which we are talking about today. So the Creative Arts Academy literally is our it's one of our most most cultivated program, I would say. We've been spending years cultivating this worship arts side, whether it was through mentorship, whether it was through teachers and trainings at different churches. And let me tell you my experience going to different churches, training in different churches, connecting with other worshipers. My experience have helped to build the curriculum for this Worship Arts Academy. I have understood the psychological and the sociological impacts of worship on a people beyond a church service. And so my goal, the goal of this institute is to empower and cultivate holistic worshipers and holistic worship leaders and holistic voices that will give prophetic insight, voices that will help intercede and push you through, voices that will connect the dots for you as it pertains to you and God, voices and people that will intercede for you, minstrels that will literally use their creativity and their instrument to literally release God's heart to you, to break yokes off of you, to push you into the next place of your destiny, and to really cultivate these things in you. So I'm super excited, super grateful for all the things that God has done in and through what he has called us to do through worship, and then what we have learned along our journey as we've trained others, as we've mentored others, and all of the above. So hence, this is how the Worship Arts Academy was birthed. And so I am super excited today to chat more about what all of this is. I'm going to bring our instructor, LaJoy, on in just a minute. But let me answer this question. Christopher said, can we do one course at a time? I haven't yet finished the 4-week Psalmist Raine course yet. So yes, you can do, let me just break down the programming for you guys. So the Worship Arts Academy actually houses, is about 4 or 5 different certification programs for your choosing. Let me get the exact 1, 2, 3. Actually, yes, 5 for right now. There is more that is brewing, but it is 5 certification programs for your picking, for your selection, for your choice at this moment in time. Those 5 different, no, you didn't miss enrollment, but enrollment will be closing soon. So you want to go ahead and get in, but especially for the Worship Arts Academy. Worship Arts Academy, the enrollment is closing really soon. So anywho, you got 5 different certification programs: Foundations of Worship. You have Psalmist Raine, which is a certification program; Minstrelship, which is a certification program; Intercessory certification program, as well as Worship Leadership is a certification program. So those 5 different certification programs. Now, some of them are 1 year, some of them are 2 years, and some are 3 years. Why? Because your mind will actually be blown off of, I have literally, throughout the years of mentorship, throughout the years of teaching different courses, the students needed a month in between each course, and they also not only needed a month in between each course, but they also needed some time. We couldn't like give everything in 1 year. I cannot tell you, I've had mentees that have been rocking with me for 2 and 3 years now, because we just could not dig everything. We just could not like put it all in 1 year. And so anybody knows and have heard about, she said, I believe it now. Anybody that have learned and have heard about the Refresh Institute or anything that we have done so far, you know, all of our certification programming is 10 months. However, the difference between creative arts and worship arts is that creative arts, you have classes on a weekly basis that help sharpen you in those skills and tools. However, on the Worship Arts Academy side, all of the classes the live classes are once a month. And the reason why it's once a month is because we give you so much in one particular session that between God breaking it down and walking you through the journey and you actually receiving it, walking in it, learning it, you probably gonna need about 30 days in between. And our instructor, LaJoy, has been with me for like 2 years, and she can tell you more about, you know, what you're gonna need in this time. And we just don't want people's minds to be like too blown, you know. People get too much of me in a week is probably not good. Not good. I'm just not good. I think you can't just keep whatever. So, you know, I want to give people's brain a relief. There are some people that have literally left my courses because they felt like it was just too much. So what we did was, on the worship arts side, we literally give you a month we meet monthly. We meet monthly for these classes. We dig through, because let me tell you something. God is not concerned about what you can produce for him more so than he is concerned about who you are in him. I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the back of the church that didn't hear that. God is, he is not more concerned about what you can produce for him than what and who you are in him. He is so concerned about who you are in him. And so he's concerned about our health. He is concerned about what we produce. He is concerned about whether we're passing on germs and infections in the spirit. He is concerned about these things. And there's so many people that like, I want to develop a closer relationship with God. I want to understand and I want to learn more about how to be a worshiper, what I must do in this area as a worshiper. And let me tell you, he is not just dealing with your gifts. He is going to deal with your mentality. He's going to deal with the conditions of your heart. He's going to deal with how you interact with one another. He is going to deal with you, my dear. He really is. He's going to deal with you. So the Worship Arts Academy is all about that. We're walking you through this journey of God literally renewing your mind and giving you a fresh perspective. But most importantly, his perspective on worship. Y'all, I've been to so many churches, and you can see the mental difference amongst churches and their understanding of God's perspective regarding worship amongst leadership and sheep alike. Sheep only produces what the leader kind of feed them in their diet. And I'm just telling you that a lot of the things that we are producing in the churches is not from God's perspective. It has been from the comfort level and from the perspective of men. I'm going to tell you. It has been from the comfort level and from the perspective of men and not from God. And God has really been burdening my heart for just realigning our focus when it comes down to worship and all of the above. So I have talked a whole lot. I'm going to share with you more, because if you look on our website, you'll see our course catalog. I'm going to dig in a little more about what all of the courses and those a year-long overview of all the courses for you and things of that nature. But I don't want to just talk too much. I want to introduce to you one of our instructors for the Worship Arts Academy for this year, this kickoff year for the Worship Arts Academy. I'm super excited. Like I told you guys, she's been with me for about 2 years on the mentorship side. And people that have done just the small e-courses, the mentorship is different. I'll let her talk to you about that more. She's also on our Refresh worship team. So excited to have her. She's all the way from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is not far from Chicago, but you catch my drift. But nevertheless, she is phenomenal at what she does. She's a worship leader, worship pastor, all of the above out there. And so I am so excited to have her a part of our instructional team here at the Refresh Institute. And so I want to introduce for you guys, Miss LaJoy Mitchell.
Happy Saturday.
I tell you, every time I say I need to get the little sound thing. I'll be playing. If you haven't done so already, guys, go ahead, share this live, because we're getting ready to dive in deep about what this whole Worship Arts Academy is all about. You know you're going to always walk away with nuggets, because I just can't help it.
It just comes. It just flows. That's just what happens. It just organically comes out. It just happens. I'm sitting back here laughing because as you're talking about the mentorship program, my mind blowing. So yes, the foundation of worship class has to be once a month, because the mentorship for 2 years, listen, talk about it's wrapped up all in one. You got potatoes, dessert don't come till later. Sorry, you got to get the vegetables first, you got to get the substance first, and then maybe once at that 6 month, okay, here's a cookie, all right, let's go back to some meat, let's go back to the potato. So yeah, mind blowing.
I try to be like, well, my heart's desire is to give you more. Like, let me give you all. Like, if you hungry, let's go. Let's go and let's grow in this thing. But I do understand, because y'all told me.
Yes.
I wouldn't have known had y'all not told me.
And then at the end, we're good, 2.5, 3 hours in? And then the pause is, okay, how y'all feeling? And everybody's look is like, yeah. You can hear a pin drop on Zooms, like, and you just see deer in headlights, like, all right, let's go ahead. And then it's not done. Okay, so let's go ahead and pray, activate this in.
No. Because people try to leave. They try to leave and they try not, and then they forget because they want to go sleep, and then they forget about what they had to do. And I'd be like, before you forget, let me just activate this thing. You ain't got no choice but to keep going.
That's right. That's right.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to just introduce yourself, tell you about your background. You can tell them about your history, just with some of the things that you're learning even now, during this time. Wait, there's more. Yes. Because I want to give you all some good insight on what you're getting ready to get in this year when it comes down to the Worship Arts Academy and all the above. So, LaJoy, have at it. Take it away. I'll be back shortly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, hi, everybody. My name is LaJoy Mitchell. As Psalmist Raine said, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So, born and raised here, just 2 hours, 2.5 hours or so away from Chicago. And so, when we talk about worship, that is a passion of mine. That is something that's dear to my heart, because growing up in church all my life, understanding the gift of Holy Spirit and what that is and how it lives in you. However, what we've learned, as Psalmist Raine mentioned, in our church environments can be completely different to the Father's heart. And so I have had the honor to be cultivated more in understanding the Father's heart. So planted in understanding in deliverance ministries, planted in being able to allow the Father to move and have his way. However, over the last 2.5 years, I've had the opportunity to have that dug deeper within me. So by profession, I'm in human resources, but then I also am a teacher. I educated the collegiate level. So now I have the joy of worship and singing and psalmistry, all of it coming together to then get birthed in mentorship. And so when Psalmist Raine mentioned that a lot of the things that she's created in this institute comes from church services and through activations, through the mentorship program, different things that she's done along the way, literally within this institute, when we talk about global refreshing, and refreshing someone one encounter at a time, within the institute, you will gain that knowledge and understanding. So within the mentorship program, I've had the opportunity to literally thirst and hunger for more of the word. And as the word comes in me, that's when the Father gives you more revelation. And it gave me more revelation and understanding of who he is and his desire for me as a daughter of his kingdom, and understanding that what I am and who I am is not based upon, as she indicated, production or what I'm able to produce or that positive and successful outcome, but it's literally just being in a heart posture of engaging with him. And that's what we discuss with this Foundations of Worship course. Month by month, we're going to really dissect what worship is. So over the course of time, I've had an opportunity to kind of grow, develop, understand more at a deeper level. And now, in conjunction with my sidekick, Candace, who couldn't make it, shout out to Candace, who's also an instructor. And we work together in partnership to be able to give you a good understanding of what's necessary in your understanding of worship, and giving you a high level view to understand it's not a song. Song is a tool. But worship is bigger than the song. And it's not what you play. It's a tool. But that's not the idea of worship. It crosses all cultures. It crosses all generational lines. It's universal in its approach. And that is the big picture, larger, high level view of what the Father wants us to really to understand. So that's a little bit about me and the foundation of how even this came up. And yeah, the life-changing things with the mentorship program and all of that comes over the course of time in this institute. So
yes, it does.
You have no choice but to get it.
Yes. Like, I absolutely love LaJoy. LaJoy is one that is extremely hungry, and even her having, like, once again, we don't have instructors that does not have history and experience with teaching at a certain level. All these teachers, to some degree, are degreed up, and they have experience. Like LaJoy just said, she had an experience in teaching at the collegiate level. So you're getting ready to get some things that are really going to cultivate you. Now, one of the things I like to add here, because I see Anita says, I'm not a psalmist, but I love worship. And that's the thing. The Worship Arts Academy is about every believer. If you are a believer, you are a worshiper.
Come on, yes.
This is why we have to have the different courses, the different programming, certification programming, because some people just want to learn. They're not coming in for the certificate. Some people just want to add more language. They want to dive deeper in worship. And that's what the Worship Arts Academy is all about. We tap into the artistic side of worship because God has sent different agents that are like tools, and different tools to be able to help build certain things in different cultures, depending on what people need to, what they need to help them articulate what God is saying in this time or in this season, what revelation they need to receive, and all of the above. So I see some people on here. Hi, Kadisha all the way from Indianapolis. And we're super excited. To me, it said that's how I felt to release the manna. I think that was before. but the goal, the goal in this all is to add language to your life. A lot of people, like, we just worship and we worship the way we worship because we saw the mothers do it, or we saw
it. Yes. Or even when we think about in that language, how we literally call our church services the order of worship. Or let's go on to the worship service. And we're using this word as if we could just, it's just thrown and tossed around. And so it takes away the true meaning. And we want to impact and understand what worship is about. It's not a word that we just use for a program or a bulletin to pass out by the ushers, right? It's deeper than that. It's bigger than that. It's a level of engagement that goes far beyond the hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 3, depending upon your church, hours that you have or experience on a Sunday morning.
Absolutely. And so the goal here throughout this Worship Arts Academy is to add language to your life, to push you into the realm of not just stumbling upon God. Like, we got to stop just stumbling upon God in our services, but being intentional about engaging God, not just on a Sunday, but every single day of our life, every moment, every hour, every second, every minute. And we do that by way of building a healthy worship culture within us individually. Then we can do it amongst the people on a collective basis. And so because of that very reason, I got an interesting fact for you. A very interesting worship fact. And this really bridges the gaps and has the foundation for our launch pad, even with the Foundations of Worship course that is launching throughout our Worship Arts Academy on this year. So here we go. Are y'all ready for our scholastic? I don't know if it's interesting. It's interesting for me because I love worship. And I study worship. Worship. And by studying worship, I have learned to study God. I have grown a greater desire to study and become a student of God. To become a student of God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have learned to become a student of God by studying worship. Now, let me tell you, here's the reality. The reality is there are different styles, different ways that people worship, whether it's false or true. There are so many different avenues for worship in the world during this day and hour, but we don't want to be ones that are deceived in this hour. We want with intention to have the language, the revelation, the biblical strategy regarding worship and building healthy worship cultures in our local assembly and amongst the body of Christ as a whole. So to me, it's a fun fact, but it may be an interesting fact to you. And it may be something that you may have known just because, you see the fruit of things. But if we really take the time to break down what it means, then it may become very, very interesting for you, especially for your worship leaders. It's going to be really important. All right. So y'all ready? Here's our Scholastic Rush Week fun, interesting fact for you. You ready? Let's go.
Yes.
Okay. Did you know? You probably did. But did you know that worship has a psychological and sociological effect on your individual world culturally and our world globally? Worship, what we do when we gather together on a Sunday, when we gather together on a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Bible class days, prayer meeting days, what we do in worship, it has a psychological and sociological effect on your world individually and culturally and our world globally. And you know what I should have added? At the same time.
Yes.
And Candace on here.
They interconnect. Woohoo!
We gotta get Candace. Hey, Candace.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Candace.
How y'all doing?
There's my sidekick.
Candace is one of our other instructors for the Foundation of Worship. They are co-teaching today with this course for this year. So we're gonna get to learn some different perspectives when it comes down to worship. So this was our Candace, since you just hopped on here. We was doing our interesting or our fun fact about worship, and I was telling them, "Hi, blessings to you, Michael, and thank you for joining us, Victoria." But worship has a psychological and sociological effect on your individual world culturally and our world globally. Now, this may challenge you because there's so much that's packed in this one sentence.
Yeah.
So much that's packed in this one sentence. Does anybody want to take a deep dive in it first?
Candace, you go ahead. I got you.
Okay, so worship that's like man. Okay. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm just gonna talk off the brain.
Yeah.
This course is mind blowing. I would say that. I think it's very, very, very good because it kind of shapes your whole perspective of what you think your ideal of worship is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, just thinking of all the different type of religions and how they different, but how they're like even Raine said, how they why are others more faithful and more consistent than just Christians basically. So just learning the foundation of worship is, for me, just me, Raine teaching us, have been mind blowing and have definitely strengthened me and made me grow with just knowledge. So I say sign up, but this, go ahead, Joy. You dive in.
Oh, go ahead, Joy. You gonna take a dive at this?
Yeah, so I echo everything that Candace was saying. And so, Psalmist Raine, as you were talking about, it happens simultaneously, the psychological side of the house, the sociological, and our cultural. Our worship services, we were brought up. So we are embraced in a culture of who we are and the subculture of the church specifically that we were a part of. But as that intermingles, what came to me on that sociological side of the house is now we're in a time where the millennials and Gen Z are the largest populations on earth. Right. So now we've had this shifting as it relates to the way in which we worship. And the shifting is the styles where it's either high energy or we're going for broke. But then that may not be the style of a baby boomer or our mothers in the church. Right. Because the generational, there's differences. Just the energy level alone. They would love to and their heart, they're leaping, but they can't. And so we have to understand that it's not deduced to outward exercising of what we do in the physical location of a church, in the physical location of a service. And now we've been very creative in physical locations outside, whatever the case may be. But it's all about your heart posture. And so sometimes I think this picture is painted of the way it should look and feel. But if you go to London, it might look different. And we have to have awareness and understanding of the heart posture and not what things look like physically on the outside, and embrace and know the difference of what is happening in a moment, and not because we're not comfortable with it or understand what's happening, shun it, but understand when Holy Spirit is truly moving. And being aware, discerning of it through our worship and engagement with the Father. So generationally, there's a lot of things that are happening and shifting. And so it all intertwines the way we're in our individual culture of worship, psychological thought, how we're thinking in our moments of worship, and then how we communicate in a community of believers.
That's so good, because one of our I know one of the things that I have learned along the way, especially those of you that you are called to global ministry, you cannot just shun another culture and the way that they worship it, especially if their worship is to God. We can't shun it because we're not used to it. One of the things I have had to learn is that different cultures, based off of where they are in the history and all of those things, this is worship to them. The stuff that we're doing over here in the Western Hemisphere is just on this side of no. Some of this stuff, I remember talking to friends that are not from America, and their thing is Americans are very lax in their devotion to God. And so their thing there is very lax. But then in my mind, sometimes when I talk to them, I say, oh, well, you got a lot of works based in the mix of your devotion and in the mix of your worship. And so my thing is, let's learn God's perspective, because we can argue all day long about our differences.
Yes.
But if we learn God's perspective about worship as a whole, then we could literally find ourselves uniting in a greater way than, putting our hand to the plow in the enemy's device to divide the body.
Absolutely.
And so my thing is, let's fight for unity. Let's fight to be on the same page, seeking and engaging God on a level, and let's do it and show generations coming up after us how to pursue God. And so when we know that worship has a cycle, let's live with the psychological aspect. Psychological really deals with your mind, your thought process, how you see things, your perspective. And we know that transformation, according to Romans 12, 1 and 2, we understand and know that literally our transformation comes from the renewing of our minds. And so us giving our lives and giving our hearts to the Lord on a psychological level will allow us actually to experience transformation on a whole nother side. Candace, I'm gonna throw this to you a little bit, but I'm gonna throw it to you because you're an educator and you educate, and you have been educating for years, but how much education of this sort and even worship impacts your mentality?
Wow. I was just thinking about that. I think I have always liked to learn something. You may have experience with doing it, but when you learn that knowledge, it makes it make more sense, So worship, we have done it. We lift our hands, we may pray, but when you learn like how they did it in the Old Testament and the New Testament, what was the purpose, even what was the, struggles that they endured with it and what marks they were missing, it makes you more conscious. And then even what Joy said, you'll learn that it's not always an outer thing. Where's your heart? What are you doing? What's your mindset when you're doing it? Are you doing it just off emotions? Is it a relationship or a connection with God? So I think learning the foundation of it will make it more purposeful. I think it will even strengthen your relationship with God as well.
Absolutely. And here's the deal, like anybody that has grown up in church, like all of us have, like we've grown up in church, we've seen our, like Candace and my mama sang together, so like we've seen our parents, push in worship. We've seen them use the gift that God has given them to release the heart of God through worship and to release it in song. And we've learned off of watching them. But I can't necessarily tell you that the language that I have now is the language that pushed me closer to God. Like let me say that again. It was the language that I have now that pushed me closer to God in comparison to what I did before. What I did before was just something that I saw people do. I thought it was just a normal thing to do. And that's just it. In church, you do this. And in church, you do that. But one of the things that God just really began to deal with me about is he was like, yeah, you got all the formalities and things together, but I still don't have you. And that thing wrecked me because I'm like, what I've been doing all this time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just like, what have I been doing all of this time? All this time, I'm thinking I'm drawing closer, but I'm not. I'm thinking that I'm learning more of God, but actually I'm staying at ankle level when it comes down to, just how my depth in God. And we learn about fasting, we learn about consecration, but we're not even intentional enough about the things that God has really like called us into. And so I'm oftentimes just conflicted because now my whole mentality got to change.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Upon an encounter, my whole mentality has to shift with how I engage God, how I enter into his presence. We try to pump people up. We enter into his gates with thanksgiving. Well, one of the things I was telling a group of people this morning, I said, we taught testimony service wrong. Here we go. This is why people need a month in between classes to go. We taught testimony service wrong. Let me tell you why. Because testimony service is to give thanks to the Lord, but it is to testify about what Jesus have done. And if anybody know anything about the testimony of Jesus, it is the gateway. It is the door that opens up for the spirit of prophecy. So our testimony services should have been filled with prophetic.
With so much prophetic. Yeah.
We done limited our testimony service. We done told the people, just testify about the goodness of the Lord in your life. And as you testified about the goodness of what Jesus did, him praying for you, you know, him interceding on your behalf, him dying on the cross for you, him saving your life, him raising you up from the dead and delivering you from all of this stuff. It should have opened the door for people to prophesy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But there comes the application and activation side of the house with it. So yeah, we need that month, because in that month you have the virtual class, but that's not it. The rest of the weeks, from a psychological standpoint, now you are putting into practice new knowledge, new learning, and deeper depths to now literally put in application, in written form application, in prayer application, that releases until the next month, because we get digging deeper the next month. And then you still have to now have a new psychological pattern while renewing your mind with the newness of what you're learning and engagement with him. Because when you've been doing things for years based upon how you've been taught, then you definitely put that into habit. And so that was great at its time. But as the Father now takes you, here we go, from glory to glory, right? Now you have this new foundation that you got to get rooted in. And the way you do that is through the application and activation of it.
Absolutely. So every day you learn these new strategies from these instructors, and every day you have to, because for one, you know better, you got to do better. You put into practice all these things. Okay, Lord, now you tell me if I testify, and I testify of your goodness, and it opens the door for the spirit of prophecy, and then I begin to prophesy, and I practice this in my life, then my whole world begins to change. But not only that, here goes the sociological aspect. Those connected to me becomes impacted off of my worship with the Lord.
Yes.
And so now my world is changed, your world is changed, and now there's a different culture that is birthed. And that culture is now that when you testify, you gotta prophesy. You can't just testify without prophesying. And then the more that it catches on as a new culture, it becomes something that changes our world completely.
From one person's mindset shift to then catch the culture and the subcultures and the communities around those individuals. And then it's the consuming fire. It spreads.
Absolutely. So we think that worship is only confined to what we do in music, 5, 10, 15 minutes, before service. But no, what about when you telling somebody about how God brought you through? You testifying in that moment on a Monday at 10 a.m. in the morning may just open the door for you to prophesy to somebody else. Now, what the Lord has done for me, I decree and declare that it is done. It is going to take place. It's going to take root in your life. And then God begins to show you more. And there we go. Now he's present, and his spirit is present, and it's all here. And now we get to grow in God. But again, now we're changing people. People's lives are being changed because now they are more, endeavored to just pursue God on a greater level. Now we got to go back for all the testimonies that we testified of and didn't prophesy.
Ooh. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That leaves you like, wait, what?
Wait, now we got to go back and flip the script. We got to go back and set things in order. Now we got to go back and do some stuff. So I'm really like, this is why you need the 30 days in between the course of the class, because the reality is, from God's perspective, like God has he has a strategy, and there are a line and modes of things that connect. I mean, the dots it really does connect, but it brings us to a greater place and a greater dimension and growth in him. So with the Foundations of Worship class, which LaJoy and Candace are both teaching, you get to learn in-depth biblical study about why you do what you do. why you do what you do. We not only get to talk about it from a psychological standpoint, but we're going to tackle all of the ideologies that was birthed out of church that may not have necessarily came from God, but it may have come with great intentions. Like, y'all want to tap into that?
Candace, you go first.
Man, wow. I know we are preparing. I want to say that for this course and just learning it. Like Raine said, you definitely have to go back and be like, wow. And I know I have repented, like, sorry, Jesus, for maybe not even taking that step and actually learning it, or even allowing it to change my whole perspective. So this is really going to shift your whole perspective. You have to come in willing to learn and to grow and to actually throw away what you thought or what you have seen and you thought that it was reality or, that it was normal. It's okay. Yeah. We all growing and learning together. But wow, ideologies. I know we were looking at, we're actually going to have a great activity, but for you to kind of learn or just to see what are similarities with different ideologies and what are some things that are different, and I just think that, wow. Wow. I know for me, just growing up in non-denomination, I'm going to say that, that we're not really, bumping and, Baptist and bumping and stuff, but how were we similar in certain, like with Baptist, and what things were different. I don't know, Raine. I'm just
no, it's okay. Like, here's the deal. There are so many ideologies in churches that we grew up with, from the you can't wear red lipstick to the long skirts to you can't wear earrings in the pulpit. Like, all of these different ideologies, we think that they really came from God. And so remember when I said studying worship, to me, challenged me to it pushed me to study God, because I wanted to know if worship is all about bringing God delight and making his heart smile, then I need to learn what he likes.
Yes.
Like, period. I need to learn what God likes and not necessarily what man is per se looking for. So I was like, and I was really challenged in my thought process, because when the Lord says, when he tells David, like, obedience is better than sacrifice. And then we talked about other scriptures that says, I'm looking at the heart. I'm looking at the heart of man. And I started thinking, God, you're blessing people that have literally had some histories that are worse than mine. You're blessing people that have been just doing this, doing that, and you have brought delight upon them. You've given them your word. You've launched them forward. You trusted them with so many things. And I said, well, what's the difference between me and that other individual? And the scripture tells us that we have to work at our own soul salvation with fear and trembling. But the problem is we're using man-made ideologies as a rubric for our own soul salvation. And instead of seeking God and saying, God, what makes you happy? God, what brings you delight? God, what is it that you want from me? And it may be different in others, but what is it that you want from me? Christopher said, would y'all say y'all foundation is more built on non-denominational or Kojic? So I was born and raised Church of God in Christ. I was born and raised in the great old Church of God in Christ. I don't know, Joy, what about you?
I'm a hybrid. So I grew in my younger years, I grew up Baptist. Then I tapped into Kojic, then non-denominational. And so now it's Jesus. Non-denominational is Jesus. It's a universal principle. And so wherever I need to plant my feet at, okay, Father, it's a universal principle of who you are. But yes, so it's interesting to be able to see all the different styles of worship, and also went to Lutheran schools. So then that's a whole different scenario. So yeah.
What was your background?
Non-denominational.
Yeah.
From what I remember, but I believe, like, as a child, because I grew up in church, born in the church, right? Born and raised. So I believe it shifted from Baptist, but memory non-denominational.
Yeah. So when I got in my teenage years, we crossed over into non-denominational. A denomination is called non-denominational. But, well, we did, but I was born and raised, baptized, and all the above in the good grand old Church of God in Christ. Now, there are some ideologies in there that's crazy. And look, my mother, her history is she was actually her father was Catholic. Her father is Catholic, and her mother was Pentecostal. That's crazy within itself. So my mom would go to church with her grandmother at the Church of God of Christ, good old Church of God of Christ, and then she would go to a Catholic school. So my brain, just in us chatting and talking about God and all the above, I'm like, God, you know what? From your view, there are worshipers. Now, I don't believe. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. I believe I am a Christian. I'm a believer. That's why I am a believer. Okay, I believe Jesus died on the cross for our sins. But here's the deal, though. God has a perspective. God has a perspective about those that are devoted to Him. And so, in this, we break down what those ideologies were. Although, again, they may have had good intentions.
Right.
Some ideologies, let's say ideologies. Some ideologies, we made it like it was God's rules.
Right.
We deal and explore with the cultures. The cultures of the children of Israel from the Old Testament to the New Covenant was so different. And how it progressed along time. We talk about that. We even talk about the articles of worship. Because let me tell you guys, there are some religions that worship things instead of worshiping God. Where did that ideology come from? How did it even start? Where did the gate open up? These are some of the things that we explore throughout this time. So we study the historical background. We study the different cultures. We study different religions and the differences between the two. We study the ideologies that was birthed from the mixtures of these two, the progressions of worship from Mosaic worship to Davidic worship to now us functioning under the Melchizedek order,
yes.
the Melchizedek order, and that's not really talked about. Oh, I could go on a tangent about that. And the joys of my mentorship.
Right. Listen, they can't even handle it. Because that alone.
Yeah, it totally disrupts your perspective. And right, and here's the deal, though. The deal is a lot of these things have kept us from depths in God that we really truly desire and that we really really want. So we're going to explore it, and we're not going to tell you what to do. We're going, the months in between, all of the assignments are geared towards you seeking God about what it is that He wants and requires out of you. But we just add language, and we're going to open your mind so you can see and explore and study, and so that you will learn God's perspective. Sometimes we get so lost in the middle of the forest that we forget to come up to see what is God's perspective, what is God's take on all of these different things. And so that's what LaJoy and Candace is preparing to just really dive in with y'all. They got activities up the wazoo, videos. I put in now, okay, I'm still building the curriculum and stuff like that, right? So I'm building a lot of the teachings and stuff. Well, I'm building the teachings, but they're building the external resources. They're building the assignments and all of the above, and they're going to coach you through the teachings that's happening. And so I got to one of the modules, which was dealing with the articles of worship and how, there were people that were going to war, bloody, just stealing, thieving, killing folks off of articles such as things like the Holy Grail, things of that nature. Like, we're going to explore how the ideology of worshiping things came into place. Now, y'all know it was opened up through what Aaron did with the children of Israel. Honestly, because the people demanded to worship something that they could see, and how Aaron, being a priest, instead of protecting and guarding the presence of the Lord, builds this whole golden calf, and they just happy because now they get to worship something that they can see. Well,
Bright
in fact, you hear what I'm saying? But in fact, in our faith, we we have to, because look, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things that's not seen. So that ideology came from something that is not like, that is not even a biblical, godly principle. How we do that? So literally, people are just literally dying and losing their lives off of articles of worship, and God never told us to worship these articles.
Never told us.
He never did. He never did. As a matter of fact, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble with
Uh-oh.
you. You just came with my man. I'm gonna get in trouble.
You won't get in trouble. We got you.
Even the ark.
Oh.
You see? Told him to get in trouble. Even the ark, like in the old covenant, that was a sign. It was something to represent his presence. And the Lord, you know, we have scripture that talks about the ark and why they even built the ark and all of the above. You know, but at this moment, you know, our focus, according to Colossians 3, it literally tells us to set our sights on the realities of heaven. Seeing Jesus, seeing God, Jesus sitting at the right hand of the Father. And our goal, the goal where the river of the Lord flows from, is from the throne of God himself.
That's right.
Because of the blood, because of what Jesus has done, now we have access. And we can boldly come before his throne, not just the ark.
Not just an ark. And not idolizing it. No. Or the other things that we have now allowed to be idols in our lives, representing the ark. Yeah. No.
Amen. So, yeah, look, the numbers started going down. I know.
Listen, see?
Right,
see? That's all right.
I know. I get it. I understand. Because it really challenges people's faith. It challenges what they have built on. Here's my heart. I don't want nobody going to heaven think they done really built something with God and totally missed a lot of things. And so that's what the Refresh Institute is endeavoring to do. Brady said, I'm still here. That's what the Refresh Institute is still about. Candace and LaJoy, if you want to add anything else, you know, before, because I want to tap into what these other courses will mean, but I don't want to hold you guys if you guys gotta go. So if y'all want to add anything else to it.
The only thing is I will give you a metaphoric visual. So we haven't had a lot of traveling. So let's put ourselves in the mind of about to take a trip. But right before you get there, the first month, we're going to hear all of the preparation, making sure that we have the instructions necessary. We're going to be, Candace and I are your facilitators, and we're going to give you the instructions and show you how to, you know, in case of this, we have things in place for you to handle yourself accordingly, and how long our destination is till we get there. So we'll make sure you're comfortable, that you're relaxed, that we can engage together. So we'll do some icebreakers to get you comfortable to talk. But then when it's time to take off, we're going to the aerial view and we're taking off. And then we'll make sure as best as we can that we don't come in for a heavy landing, but that it'll be a smooth transition for you to then go ahead and do what you need to do with the tools, resources, knowledge, and application of it that you can take with you.
Absolutely. Okay, go ahead.
I just say sign up. Like Joy said, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a process. It's going to be growth. And I believe it's definitely needed. Why? Because God made this happen. God gave this to Raine. You know, God is Raine best friend. So anyway, sign up. This course is going to be amazing. Why not perfect what you do? You know, why not learn why you do what you do? You know, how can you build your relationship even stronger with God in this season? It's time for it. You know, we're still in a pandemic, but we're not hindered by it. So let's grow and let's learn together. Sign up, please. We'd love to see you.
I just love them guys. Like, I was like, I needed these instructors to take this on so that I could build these other courses that I'm about to tell y'all about in just a few minutes. And they was like, okay, we're doing Candace, right? You can't go way back. The Candace was like, right? Like, oh my God. I was like, I am sorry. I am sorry. But let me tell you something. One of the things I want you to know is you got coaches. Like we're coaching you a lot, and although they are your present instructors, I'm here pushing them, and we're working this thing out together. We're working this thing out
Absolutely.
together. So if you want to learn more about the foundations of worship course, you can go check out in-depth definition about what it is through our website, through the course catalog on our website at refreshglobalnft.org, as you can see with the little ticker running across the bottom there, www.refreshglobalnft.org. So yeah, ladies, do y'all have anything else? I'm gonna continue on talking about the other courses. Y'all good?
No, we're excited and hope to see you soon virtually.
Yay! Thank you all so much. I love y'all.
Love you too. Thanks. Bye, Candace.
All right, just so that so to dig in a little bit further, y'all, we just got to talking about something and we start talking about the ark, and y'all have to catch the replay, catch that if you missed the whole conversation regarding the ark and articles of worship. But nevertheless, that was Foundations of Worship. Foundations of Worship is the course, the only course that we have going on for this scholastic year, because we believe in carefully building with people, carefully building and increasing understanding. Here's the reality. It's really, really hard to break from a mentality that you came from. I cannot tell you how many times I sat on the side of my bed and was like, but God, why? Why we've been doing this all wrong all this time? And it really take a few days for you to be regulated in your mind that God is still with you and that he has not left you alone. And a lot of times people have to go to forgiving themselves, and even though it wasn't even your fault, you just learned something that you saw or was taught. A lot of people are trying to figure out, God, how did I even get this far away from your presence? Anybody ever been there where you've been in the worship time and God will just reveal something to you by way of his word or whatever? You just like, God, how did I get this far away from, your original intent, your original design for us as worshipers, for one, and it's just really, really growing in that thing. And so I just want to take the time to say, hey, we're building the courses, we're building it all out. So you got the foundation of worship that deals with the historical, the psychological, and the sociological aspect of the cultures of worship, cultures within you individually, your way of life, how you're doing things. And then for those connected to you, those surrounding all around you, those in your region, your state, your country, and beyond. Anybody that knows us, we are a global entity. So we have to break these things down for even different cultures and different people in different countries. And so I want to say this: if you are not in the US of A, you can still be a part of this worship academy because it is an online institute. Our last Release the Manna pilot course, we had people from all over the world that was a part of it. All of our sessions, all of our teachings are recorded. So even if there are different time frames and there are different time zones that people live in, you can always go back and be a part of and check out the live recording of the course and let God continue to work through you. And also you'll have one-on-one set up with your instructors and all of the above. So it's really exciting. After Foundation Worship, we also have Worship Continuation. Now the Foundation of Worship and Worship Continuation are for those that say, hey, I'm just a worshiper. I just love to worship God, and that's just who I am. These courses are for you. Why? Let me tell you something. It will help you to intercede for those that don't understand worship, that those that don't understand God. It will help give you language for what may be barriers amongst different worshipers, especially as you begin to expand in your mind and see things from God's perspective. It will really help you to do that. And so that is really, really exciting. So we're so grateful to have people a part of it. Worship Continuation will also continue to build. We'll also continue to build on the foundations of worship, which deals with the historical, the psychological, the sociological, the cultural ideologies, and all of these things, the progression of worship and all the above. We build upon that with tools and strategies and insight and practices that will help you to build a healthy worship culture individually and for those you may lead. So every person that goes through the Worship Arts Academy, they must go through this course so that they can see things and see worship from God's perspective. And let me tell you something, the way that we do worship over here is different from the way that they do worship in London. It's different from the way that they do worship in Africa, the way that they do worship in Australia. And so before we just tell them, no, 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 that's not right, let's see God's perspective around what everybody is doing to offer up worship and glory unto the Lord, King Jesus. All right. So that is the foundation of course. You enter into the Worship Arts Academy with this course and you are challenged in it all. And like I said, I had the pleasure of birthing out the curriculum for it. And I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Also, those that says, hey, I want to continue on in my course and I want to deal with something specialized. We also have specialized vocational programming for those that are like intercessors, for those that are minstrels, for those that are psalmists and prophetic voices, and also for those that are in worship leadership. So our intercessor course 1 and 2 deals with empowering the guardians of God's heart and dreams in the earth. So these are not just your intercessors that are committed to a local assembly. These are those that are committed to the kingdom. These are those that are committed to the kingdom. And so we are empowering those guardians, giving you biblical study, biblical language, insight, and activating the individuals that are considered the gatekeepers and the watchmen. We want to see God's dream done in the earth. And he reveals it to his prophets. And most of the time, not even most of the time, the first mandate of the prophet is for intercession. And so we want to empower those that are guardians of God's heart and dream in the earth. Also, to intercessory 2, that course as well is the continual study of the intercessor. It empowers the gatekeepers. It activates the watchmen in rebuilding the city of Zion. And we engage in a virtual study about rebuilding the city of our God based off of Nehemiah and Ezra and all of the above. So super excited about that. The intercessory programming is a 2-year program. No, sorry, it's a 3-year program. The intercessory course program and certification program is a 3-year program. With minstrelship, it is the study of the mandate of the minstrel. Now, we got the creative arts side that helps you with your skill. But on the worship arts side, we deal with the grace and the mantle of the minstrel. We're going to activate tools that help you to see what God is doing in and through you. We're dealing with frequencies. We're dealing with a lot of supernatural activity and give you language to help you steward and cultivate that for your local assembly and beyond, for the world, as a matter of fact. So that's a 2-year program. You do Foundations of Worship, and then you go to minstrelship course, to your minstrelship course. The psalmistry course programming is a 3-year programming. So you not only get to learn about the foundations of worship, but then you get to study the biblical and the creative makeup, lifestyle, and mandate of this ancient grace. Y'all know psalmist was not something that it was a hidden jewel. It was lost. It was an ancient grace that was lost among time. There was not a lot of people that was diving into minstrel psalmistry, I should say. And so we have a course that adds language and gives you constructive framework for what a psalmist does in the earth and the creative tools. And let me tell you this, you cannot box a psalmist in. You cannot box a psalmist in. So this course identifies your particular assignment in psalmistry and your particular graces, and it helps you to continue to move forward in it. And then psalmistry 2, that 3rd year, is a hybrid course. It's in-field and biblical study, activating the tools and the strategies. And with that comes a level of internship. So we get to place you in a church that will allow you to be able to activate these things, place you in a field that will allow you to be able to activate the gifts and the callings according to your mandate, your responsibility, the things that God has destined and designed for you. We help walk with you in all of our courses. We want to know who you are in God, not who. There's so many different creatives and expressions of creatives and tools that God uses for all creatives. And we're not trying to make you anything, because we're all out the box. All of us are out the box. And I love to see just God's perspective and God's expression on these different mantles and mandates and graces. And so we just want to empower you. Not anybody else, you. Not anybody else. All right. And then worship leadership is also a 3-year certification course program. You are digging into leadership. We're digging into how to build strong, healthy worship cultures within the local assembly. We do a biblical studying the mandate, the grace, and the stewardship for leading worship in a progressive worship culture. In a progressive time of worship. Y'all know that we went from doing hymns, went from doing congregational songs to now doing praise and worship, now to doing prophetic worship and soaking and all of the above. Worship leadership will allow the worshiper, the worship leader, to stay on task and in God's timing with the progressions of worship over time. And not only that, leadership 2, which is that 3rd year, we do an in-depth study and exploration of various leadership strategies from both the secular and the sacred world. We deal with cultural styles of worship within local assemblies. And then we also talk about different activation strategies for building a healthy worship culture. And a lot of it has to do with identifying what's on your team, building the intercessors and the psalmists and the lyricists on your worship team. Did y'all know that there are different mandates that are on your worship team? And a lot of us as worship leaders have failed to use it at maximum potential because we don't take the time to just seek God and allow their gifts to come out, their graces to come out. We don't give them room or field to exercise it. And so in worship leadership, we deal with and talk more about that. So I am so excited about this Worship Arts Academy. If you're going to hang in there with us for the long run, I promise you, your life will never ever be the same. Your perspective regarding God's heart for worship and what he wants to see out of believers will be totally and completely different. In courses that are to come, we are building up, of course, ministers of movement. Somebody even called me and asked, was I going to do a deliverance program and track for it? Because, with worship comes a level of deliverance that we get to explore with and things of that nature. And so hopping into that, dealing with that, but that's coming up in the years to come. Also, we're going to give people on the Worship Arts Academy side the chance to intern in different fields with different churches. We want to also be able to partner with smaller churches that are starting and they are looking for worshipers to help build a healthy worship culture. So our goal, and we're getting started, but our goal is to build a network of small churches that we can help house and set them up right. It's nothing like, I cannot tell you. And a lot of these things come from my history, knowing a lot of pastors that start churches. And they just have to settle for hirelings that will come and just do praise and worship instead of actually strategically putting people in place that will help build a worship culture specifically for their house. That's what this Worship Arts Academy is going to fuel people through, prepare them for, and get them ready so that we can build worship cultures around the world that reflect God's heart in this time and season. So I hope you are ready. I hope you are enrolling. I hope you are registering. If you want to learn more, if you want to enroll, if you want to register today, you can do so by going on our website at www.refreshglobalnfp.org. Again, www.refreshglobalnfp.org. Enroll today. Our semester begins on August 17th, and our semester begins on August 17th, and our classes begin the week of August 24th. So you want to go on there. You want to see when your class is going to be going live, whether it's on the creative arts side or the worship arts side. You want to know when it's going live so that you can be an active part of everything that's going on and what God is doing to help empower and refresh worshipers all across the world. I am so excited, y'all. This is one of my heartstrings. So I am so grateful. I hope that you enjoyed what you have heard today. I will leave the floor open for any questions if anybody has any questions today regarding this. What if you're already doing online college courses but want to partake in the Psalmist? Can the class be based off your current schedule or pace? So the classes, they meet on a monthly basis, but because all the classes are recorded and we are a global entity, you can partake in the live recording of the classes and you can do the assignments at your own place. We give you 30 days between from one live class to the next live class. You get every month to be able to catch up on the assignment, to do whatever work needs to be done. But most importantly, we want you to grow personally in your relationship with the Lord. So if you're already doing it, this is something that I believe if you want to dive into it, dive into it, because it's really going to impact your life in such a great way. In such a great way. I've seen it. I've seen the fruit of it. Many people have testified of just the fruit of what they've done just from the classes that we've had. And I'm just telling you, it's going to really, really impact your life. So if you are already doing online college courses and you're already, so our goal is what we've been doing is our certification programming is the first step of our accreditation process. And so we're building up for accreditation and all of the above. So if you can handle it, it's once a month. It's only once a month. And like I said, you get the assignments, you get to do the assignments within that month, and then you can listen to the recording. Say, for example, if you have a course going on during the time that live class is happening, you get to check out the recording, and you also get to have one-on-ones with your instructors as well. So it's kind of like a hybrid. We have the regular courses, but then also too, it's flexible enough where you can, go at your own pace. So I hope that answered your question. Anybody else have any other questions before I let you go? I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon as we talked about our Worship Arts Academy. It has been a phenomenal rush week, and we have been so excited to see all of you just a part, those that have been enrolling. There are some people that have enrolled that's on this live right now. We just want to tell you thank you for enrolling. Thank you for just wanting to grow. It's so good to know that there are other people that want to grow and learn, much like you. So we're constantly growing and learning. You'll be growing and learning as we grow and learn, and all of the above. So if that is all, I want to encourage you to connect with us on all of our social media platforms at Refresh Global. You can go and check us out there. You can also join our mailing list on our website at at refreshglobal.nfp.org. How can I pull forth the song of the Lord I hear from time to time? What do you mean by pull forth? You want to sing it? Because if you hear it, you can just sing it. We do tap into that in the Psalmist course as well. So yeah, super excited. It depends on what you mean by pulling forth. Also in the songwriting course, you can also pull forth through songwriting. You can pull forth through singing. You can pull forth through so many different things. So so I hope we get to answer your questions a little bit more. Awesome, T. Austin. I'm excited too. I'm so excited. So I really think it's going to be impactful for the worshiper. You really want to enroll and get into the courses. All right. All right, guys. I love you guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Keep growing, keep learning, keep moving, keep being empowered, and most importantly, stay refreshed in the presence of the Lord. I love you guys so much, and I'll chat with you soon.